My mind's telling me this is the line. To find the Morbius. Flip it. Why not? It's funny. It's a funny line, all right? Come on, hit one of the cards to the right. Oh, get in, Gambit. We're dodging the armor. Oh my god, it's the last card in the deck, chat. There's no chat because I'm live only for YouTube, but this is ridiculous. Look at this. Look at this. What a way to end the video. Hello. 20 for 2. And they have a Ronin. And they have a flipping Ronin. This deck is so much fun, guys. If you enjoyed the video and watched this far, please give it a like. I hope you enjoyed this style of video where I just kind of go for it all in one take. There's like, I'm going to edit the games together, of course, but I want to show every game. Okay, guys, I've just finished playing a bunch of games at the top of Infinite rank. We're about rank 250 in the world right now with Helicarrier discard. I went in with optimism but low expectations, and I have been absolutely blown away by this deck. Not only was it good, it is so much fun. We had a 60% win rate over around 15 games right at the top of the ladder, and as you're going to see, there was a couple of unlucky moments and dodgy misplays along the way. Helicarrier is now filling your hand with random cards, and this might not seem like a big deal, but what this ends up doing is it turbocharges the Collector and Morbius. The best line we really found was if we were able to discard Helicarrier before turn 6 or before turn 5, and we end up with lots of cards in hand, our M.O.D.O.K then can come through, cleaning up and supercharges both our Collector and our Morbius. So we not only want to discard the Helicarrier to buff the Collector, but then we want to M.O.D.O.K all those cards that the Helicarrier created away, which supercharges our Morbius. You're looking like 20-point Morbiuses quite often. The rest of the deck is going to look quite familiar. Lots of discard cards you'd be used to. Apocalypse is in there. Hellcow is in there. I would avoid Dracula, particularly with the Helicarrier. And without Chavez, the Draculas just always felt quite awkward. And people really underestimate how good an 8-power Hellcow is. We're playing Lady Sif, which is, of course, targeted on hitting either Apocalypse or Helicarrier. We have the Gambit, which is pretty damn good at 3 base power. But the secret sauce, the Speci sauce, to give you the best discard deck you're going to find around with Helicarrier, and potentially the best around at all, is the Lockjaw. I've always been a big fan of Lockjaw in discard. You can play your 0-cost swarms into your Lockjaw lane. Of course, Colleen Wing is also helping out your swarms. But you can play your swarms in there. You can find something like a Helicarrier for just 10 stats off your Lockjaw. The Apocalypse is decent if you find it. Of course, there's going to be some times where you find the M.O.D.O.K off of Lockjaw and you end up with nothing in hand. But that is just the nature of discard. You're sometimes going to low roll a little bit. But at other times, if you find that M.O.D.O.K off of Lockjaw, it can be exactly what you need to supercharge your Morbius for an insane amount of points that your opponent is never ever going to see coming. So we have Colleen, of course, which works very well with Swarm. We have the Collector and Morbius, which are our turn 2 plays, and of course the Blade. So that is the 12 cards. I wouldn't really tweak anything though. I have to say there's nothing I want to change about this deck. It's all Series 3 as well, or less, which is amazing. So I really, really love this deck. Very impressed by it. I'm certainly going to be playing more of it. And I hope you enjoy and give it a like, because this is such a banger. All right then, game number 1. We've got the Lockjaw, we've got the M.O.D.O.K. We hit Blade, which we're not too interested in discarding M.O.D.O.K, I would imagine. Of course, we can put the Blade into the Lockjaw lane a little bit later on. We've got Morbius, Collector, who are going to be the ideal turn 2 plays here. Colleen wouldn't be great because it discards Blade, of course. We could just go for Blade for stats, but I think we're going to hold on to it. Little bit unfortunate then to miss out on the Morbius and the Collector. If you don't end up liking the Lockjaw build of this, or you're maybe missing some other cards, you could absolutely consider going for Storm. But with the amount of lockdown decks at the moment, it's probably not too wise. Camartage is interesting because we can supercharge our plays there, but we're still lacking the Helicarrier and we're still lacking the Swarm and the Apocalypse. We should probably run, but I don't want to. This is the first game with the deck. Let's stay in it. Gambit Camartage could pop off. That's a lot of stones. That's a lot of stones. Of course, we could be getting Professor X locked down here. But it's a little bit of a risk for them because I can put multiple cards into this Lockjaw lane. There is the Apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen. Just in time. Right on our Blade as well. So we can supercharge the Apocalypse. The question is, do we want to put our Blade into the Lockjaw or our Gambit? And I think I'm leaning more towards the Gambit because we can pull this back out later. I mean, the other thing to consider, of course, is that if they do play Professor X, our Gambit might be whiffing pretty hard. But we're going to go for it nonetheless. The other thing here is none of the cards in my hand can be discarded and then end up to the right of Apocalypse. So it's always going to be Apocalypse to the right here. We're not going to snap because I'm a little bit worried about Professor X, for example. It's a Magneto, which moves the Lockjaw away. That is very rude indeed. Let's see if our Gambit can discard our Apocalypse. Oh, hello! Hit the Magneto as well for the ultimate roll. Oh, it's so happening. Oh, I flipping knew it. I flipping knew it. Okay, what a start to this video. We cannot really get any better than this. The sad thing is I'm about to snap and they're about to leave because look at us flipping go, ladies and gentlemen, in the first game. Probably not representative of what is going to happen on average, but who the heck cares? Not me, that's for sure. I think it's pretty reasonable to just take the M.O.D.O.K into Camartage here. I mean, the other thing to consider is if we ever want to not go for the M.O.D.O.K, right? Like, the Apocalypse is already popping off. We could instead go for some Lockjaw value to try and get stats elsewhere. The slightly sad thing is the Colleen isn't going to discard the Apocalypse. I guess it will discard the Apocalypse once. So yeah, maybe we go for the Collector into Lockjaw and then Colleen off to the right. This just splits our lanes a little bit better. Because Apocalypse is just big stats into one location, we want to try and split the lanes a little bit more. If we can hit something like Morbius off of the Collector here, it could open up the deck. We could, of course, consider playing Dracula. My concern with Dracula is with Helicarrier, it's often going to be really pants. I guess you could argue, though, that we could discard. And the Morbius as well, by the way, with Apocalypse can really pop off. I mean, this is the obvious play, but I think it's fine. They leeched us. They need to get 6 points here. They need to get 10 points here. I fancy our chances, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. Perhaps they just Shang-Chi us to the left. Perhaps we shouldn't have even gone to the left. Perhaps we should have gone with Apocalypse to the right. But they could Shang-Chi us down the middle anyway. With the Helicarrier coming off of Lockjaw. Yeah, the Dracula just seems a little bit too awkward now without the Chavez in particular. Of course, it's nice when you have Apocalypse in hand, but when you don't, it's going to feel pretty awful. And we get that 4-cube victory! Okay, we have to snap this. Blade onto Apocalypse. Also, Apocalypse able to come down a turn earlier if we so desire. The Gambit's also, of course, very nice into Camartage. Although we might inadvertently discard our M.O.D.O.K. The Collector shows up for our opponent as well. I was quite curious at the idea of doing a low-key Helicarrier deck, but it felt a little bit too anti-synergistic. Gambit looks pretty good here. We do have initiative, and Gambit is going to be hitting the Collector. We wouldn't even have to play the Gambit, of course, into... Destimane is really bad for us. I can't get any cards in there unless Helicarrier saves us. Let's go for the Lockjaw. We could have gone Lockjaw into Camartage as well, perhaps. Was a slightly greedier line. Greed might be good in this case. It does look like it's going to be a struggle with Destimane if they are in fact a Hella player, which it looks like they might be. I think we probably want to get the Morbius down. I kind of regret not playing Lockjaw into Camartage. With Helicarrier, Hellcow, Sif, Colleen. It's fair to say the Gambit isn't that good here, whereas the Morbius is going to be really good. But then also, like, what do I do next turn? I could just play Swarm into Lockjaw and Morbius away. Let's try this. I think that's reasonable. Swarm into Lockjaw. Quite a lot of good hits, including a Helicarrier for just 10 stats. Can't really go wrong. It's a little bit of a shame it plays into Shang-Chi, in fairness. I think we could do something quite similar here, where we play the Collector down into Titan, into the Lockjaw. The Gambit off to the left. And we go for the Lockjaw play first, because we could hit Colleen here. And then the Gambit's going to hit the Apocalypse twice. Here we go. I mean, this has popped off pretty damn hard. Of course, it's a real shame about Death's Domain situation. We hit the Blade. We hit the Collector. Yeah, we called it again. So far, that's a bummer. So far, the deck's popping off. Let's be honest. But how long is this going to stay the case for? Remains to be seen. Of course, we're not going to play the Apocalypse there, so pretty obvious last play, but they just retreat. It is another cube victory. Okay, the deck is not actually this good, guys. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm making a deck look a lot better than it is, but I'm still enjoying it and having fun. I do think it's a good deck, but not that good. All right, game 3. Of course, we're not going to play the Blade to discard Lockjaw. Helicarrier is in hand, and we could Sif to hit it. Sunspot, the opening play from our opponent. We're up against a Discord mod. Oh my god. We could consider going for the Blade in the hopes that we draw Apocalypse or Swarm. To be honest, I'm not really liking the position we're in, so I think I'm quite inclined to just take the Blade now and hope that we draw a Swarm or an Apocalypse. I'm kind of ready to concede this one, if not. Yeah, that's a bummer. We hit Morbius, which is not really a card we want to be discarding. Having said that, the Sentinel's going to get added to hand first, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of sorts us out at least a little bit, but they snap on me. I think I'm just going to retreat. Do you know what? We're undefeated. We're undefeated. I should retreat this and be sensible and just lose a cube. But we're undefeated. Yeah, the Morbius does get discarded, which is a bit of a stinker. Having said that, the Sentinel's like at least a nice cheap card to be putting in here. And we do find the Apocalypse now. We'll go for the Blade. For the Gambit, rather. If Gambit snipes the Lockjaw, it's a 50-50! Oh my god! We hit the Sunspot. Almost good. Not quite, though. Colleen gets rid of the Sentinel, which also isn't great. Magic. Unfortunately, we don't have any way of turning that off. Real bummer we missed the Lockjaw snipe. That would have been so saucy. It's a high Evo deck. Well, here we go. The Collector. We will play the Sif off into Lockjaw because we're happy to use it again later. The Collector growing for Forge. It's also going to grow if we hit the Helicarrier or the Apocalypse. The Helicarrier gives us even more value, though. We're not going to draw a card this turn, which I think is fine. I don't think we care that much about that. The Collector goes crazy. Oh, we will draw a card because the Gambit finds its way back into the mixer. That is a little bit rude. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of rude. So I suppose we're just playing the old Ultron for value. Having said that, we could put something into... My concern is we hit the M.O.D.O.K. The whole hand gets discarded. That sounds kind of bad. Yeah, we'd rather not hit the M.O.D.O.K. in it. We can hit the M.O.D.O.K. on the last turn, I suppose. Of course, with the Swarm, it wouldn't be completely terrible. We also know exactly what we're hitting on the last turn. So... yeah, I think we just play Ultron here for stats. I'm not going to snap. I'm not that confident. So obviously Infinite plus She-Hulk is the most likely. We are actually hitting M.O.D.O.K, which is very interesting. So we don't want to play the Swarm. We want to discard it for the stats here. And our worst card is Mirage, at least the cheapest. We also then might just play like this, right? We get more Sentinels for the Collector. Unfortunately, we don't have the Morbius, right? Like, the Morbius would have been really big here. I'm not going to snap because I don't think we have it. But we'll play it out nonetheless. It looks like they don't contest the right, unfortunately. So all it is needing is a Infinite to the left, and we do lose, regrettably. Perhaps we could have stacked mid a little bit better here, but I don't think it was ever going to matter. Like, the Collector is going kind of crazy with our ordering here as well, with the Swarms. Kind of cool, but unfortunately they didn't try and contest that lane as the Wasp comes through. Do they have the 14 they need to the left? That's a big Hulk. That's a She-Hulk. That's an Infinite. So we're taken down. I did feel like we were supposed to concede, but I'm not going to lie. I'm impressed to high hell by the deck. I'm really impressed. So I wanted to retreat for a cube, but we're playing for content. It's a YouTube video. We want to see actually how good is the deck doing. And this was pretty flipping good. This was pretty flipping good, mate. If we snipe the Lockjaw, it's a win. All right, game number 4, Laskimia. I think one of my subs, if I'm not mistaken, or certainly a viewer of mine. Opening hand is good in terms of that we've got Apocalypse, but we're lacking that early curve. The Nexus is probably pretty good for us, I would have to say. We don't want to Lockjaw the Nexus, though, because I want my APOC to end up there. So we can only do that if we find Swarm in hand, so we could go Swarm APOC into the Lockjaw lane on the last turn. Gambit looks pretty good with Monster around. But we have again missed the Collector. We have again missed the Colleen onto Swarm, the Morbius. I keep calling Morbius Mobius. And we're now shuffling the hand, which is less than ideal. I think it might be within our interest to just take the Lockjaw here. It's also possible we just say we just want to take the Gambit to high roll, like the most points possible. But I think we just have to take Lockjaw. In fairness, we might have been better going Lockjaw to the left. And just saying the only way we're really winning this game is if we find Swarm in hand again. We're able to discard it on turn 5 to then go Swarm APOC on the last turn or something like that. Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. That's really good for us, I think. I do kind of regret not playing the Lockjaw left, though. So we could go for Hellcow off to the left at this moment in time. That seems reasonable. See if we can't find the Apocalypse and Swarm discards. A couple of our cards, of course, there. They get Jeff from their own deck. The Magneto goes. Sad. But the Swarm goes. That's very nice. 2-cost card will be good. A 3-cost card is curious. A highly curious case. I mean, if they go for the diner, it's worth a try, is it not? They snap it as well, ladies and gentlemen. They flipping snap it. That is bold. It's probably within our interest just to take the Sif here. I'm going to stay again. It's for content. Leech! Brother. Can you not? I mean, we don't really care that much about Leech, not going to lie. Our Swarm still costs nothing, I do believe. I think that's how it works. The concern is Shang-Chi, but we could also just play around Shang-Chi by not playing the APOC here, right? That's pretty reasonable. Like, most likely they play Shang-Chi. They have a Rogue, they have a Leech. They probably have a Shang-Chi as well. The Reality Stone's gone. The concern is, however, if they don't go for the Shang-Chi, right? That I could lose, but if they don't have Shang-Chi, they probably just aren't going to try and Shang-Chi. We always do this, I think. The other players are just lacking in points a little bit too much, I think, right? So, let's send it! No Shang-Chi! Shang-Chi is for nerds! They so Shang-Chi me, don't they? They so Shang-Chi me. Blob? Oh. We lost by a point, bruv. We lost by a point on the tiebreaker. If I put my Swarm left instead of Swarm here, I win. Heartbreak. I went for the discard value and I misplayed, right? I should have just gone for the Swarm here. In fairness, if I hit anything that wasn't Swarm, literally anything... Okay, Collector would have lost me the game. And then if it was anything else, I would have been fine. To identify someone that's good at deck building compared to not, because there's not, yeah. After a few days of new cards coming out, it's kind of settled, right? And you can just check the stats on Untapped. Whereas I like building the decks myself. Pretty much every deck you ever see from me will be built by myself, unless I say otherwise. But like 99 times out of 100, the deck will be my own build. Hockey. We could take the Swarm. We could hold off on it, though. We'd probably just hold off on it, to be completely fair. We snapped early because I like the look of where we're at. I think we'll probably Lockjaw the big house. That sounds reasonable. I like the look of Sif into Lockjaw. Beta Ray Bill. Actually never seen this card before. I was on holiday the week it came out. I really think this card's good, though. I wanted to buy it. If I wasn't on holiday, I would have bought it. And Cloning Vat's Beta Ray Bill is bloody scary. Oh my god. It's Gambit. It's flipping Gambit, mate. Let's go for it. Snipe the Beta Ray Bill, please. He scares me. Lol. See ya. Morbius wasn't obviously the best card to have hit there, but it is what it is. Now it's pretty interesting because... well, we could go Swarm here, but Swarm and Cloning Vats is also reasonable. We don't really want another Sif. Whereas if we Swarm and we find M.O.D.O.K, kind of goes crazy. Nidavellir is a little bit spooky. We could find Gambit again here. We hit the Helicarrier. That's a lot of cards. Collector goes crazy. The Colleen hits the Nebs. Not ideal. Were we ever supposed to do this in another order? Go Colleen first? I'm not certain. I am not so sure. I mean, Apocalypse just looks like it's winning. The question is, how do we want to play it? Interestingly, we can also go Grandmaster here, if we so desire. Gambit, Hellcow, M.O.D.O.K's in the deck, which all looks pretty good. Of course, the thing is, I want the APOC. So we could risk trying to hit the 1 in 3 M.O.D.O.K. Oh no, because then we could even still hit Swarm. I mean, Hellcow looks pretty good, I'm not going to lie. I kind of like the look of Hellcow. Hellcow Grandmaster. It wins us mid, but we're already winning mid. I don't hate the look of Mojo either. Can I do anything like this? Nope, because then Blade moves. Awkward spot. I think we might just be best off going for this. It's kind of obvious, that's my concern, but... Shang-Chi threat when we're playing against Zabu as well. Not sure if we ordered this perfectly though, with the Helicarrier getting discarded and then the Swarm not being discarded. If we had Swarm here to play into the Nidavellir, that would have helped my decision making quite a bit. I probably would have gone for a Hellcow or something. Is it a Shang-Chi to the right? It so is, isn't it? Oh, they go Shang-Chi left. Let's go. Get dodged. Get dodged! Deck is feeling very good. I have to say, I am liking the deck a lot. This is fun. I'm really glad that Apocalypse discard is back with the introduction of Helicarrier. It is what the deck needed, and the Collector's going crazy. Find the Helicarrier. They snap us. Do you know what? I'm going to actually start being responsible, and I'm going to retreat. I get snapped on early and aggressively. This is new. This looks different. All right, we played this guy earlier. I don't remember what they were playing, though. My memory's so bad. But look at this hand. This hand is so good, we could very well consider snapping on turn 1. We'll wait a turn, seeing as we're not playing a card. See if we find something to play on turn 3, for example. Okay. We want to prioritize the Collector. The other question is, do we want to actually sneak into the Danger Room early? I'd rather find out now rather than later if I'm surviving in the Danger Room. Alright, it's the high Evo guy who got the better of us, but only just. Yeah, we're missing out on a little bit of curve. I feel like we might be in a decent position to snap, though. They didn't play anything turn 1. They missed Sunspot. I'm going to go for it. Sod it all. I have a decent enough hand. Hopefully we don't hit the M.O.D.O.K on Hellcow, because then this M.O.D.O.K is going to buff up our Collector so flipping much. It's kind of insane. We obviously want to see Danger Room to the right because we snuck a card in already. Oh my days. I think we do put the Hellcow mid. The 8 stats I'd really rather not risk. This Morbius and Collector are going to be supercharged. They have a big Hulk. We hit the Helicarrier first. All right. So 4 cards get added. Oh, no! Flipping Agatha! No! No, man. You can't be serious. You cannot be flipping serious, mate. We're Agatha gaming now, ladies and gentlemen. For goodness sake. The Darkhawk sticks, that's pretty nice. We get leeched on. Well, good thing it's Agatha. Just don't go right, Agatha, please. She got leeched. I'm back in control, ladies and gents. The Agatha victory. I mean, the obvious play is Agatha mid. Of course it is. Is it winning, though? They have a cost reduction on Shocker. So they might be able to go Hulk plus a card. And that card could go into the Lockjaw lane. Or they could let the Hulk grow. I think we still have to go Agatha mid. Agatha Gaming for the victory! Sentinel buffs the Collector. Poggers. What do they hit off the Lockjaw? Magic, nice. GG. GG! Let's go, man. Agatha wins. What a woman. Funnily enough, if this was Apocalypse, 6 points less. Admittedly, we would have made a much better turn 5 play, though. My god. This is a Series 3 deck as well. I'm just loving the Series 3 decks at the moment. If you guys are enjoying the budget decks, let me know. At the time of recording this video, I've played 2 other big budget decks on my Climb to Infinite, but they haven't actually been posted yet. I'm going to post this one first because I want a quicker turnaround on this one. We're not going to snap because I have no access to Apocalypse or Swarm. Or Helicarrier. Helicarrier will be a nice find here. We find the Apocalypse, which is great. We could go for Blade now because it's just guaranteed to hit Apocalypse. Of course, we could go for the Sif, but Sif can hit Apocalypse later. But I think we just take the Sif. It makes sense in terms of curve. I think we should snap as well. Collector Sif is just a nice curve. It just is. I'm actually really liking the deck. It's interesting what a difference the Helicarrier change has made. Maybe this deck was okay anyway. Helicarrier just never felt worth it, and now it really does with the Collector. And the Collector never quite felt worth it. So the Helicarrier really, it's like the difference it's making to the Collector is particularly nice, but then it can also supercharge the Morbius as well. Especially if you cheat stuff out early with the Lockjaw, right? Feels really nice. So Psylocke was their card of choice. Not exactly a huge threat. I think Morbius plus Blade is good here. This is also just beating down any kind of attempt they might make with a Professor X on turn 4. Unless they have Jeff, which they probably do. They have to have Jeff at least now. Awkward one. I'm scared of Shang-Chi. I'm scared of Jeff, Shang-Chi. I suppose, in fairness, they do need Jeff and Shang-Chi in order to beat me, so I maybe shouldn't be too scared. I think we maybe Hellcow here. And then Apocalypse left. Probably the best bet. Brilliant. They need Shang-Chi and Jeff. They don't have it. Mate, this deck is popping off. What is going on? This is ridiculous. Spaceless Crown is the opponent. Decent looking curve. Do we find something to discard with Blade? We don't, so we hold on to the Blade. Collector on turn 2, of course. Something got discarded. It was a black cat. 2 Raptors down. Now Apocalypse does show up. Do we ever want to take the Blade now? Probably not. We probably still prioritize Collector here. We'll put him off to the right. We want to try and leave a lane open for Lockjaw, but we might just end up stacking the right now. Another Sif seems pretty good. I think I'm going to snap it. They've skipped the first 2 turns. They did have a black cat, of course, but I'm going to go for it. Obviously, it's risky to snap against a deck that could be Hella, if I'm honest. It could be quite overzealous, but if we snap now, it improves the odds of them retreating before they find all the combos they need. Whereas if we like leave it until later to snap, we might have Eggonochi in a bit. Sif discards Death. Oh, we're so getting Helladon, mate. We are so getting flipping Helladon. So if we go Sif Blade, we get the APOC back. We'll probably put the Blade down to the right. As then we can go, like, I don't know, I guess we're just going to slam M.O.D.O.K, to be fair. We don't want the cloning vats to be filled just yet, though, do we? We want flexibility in where we play the last card. We could go, of course, for Hellcow Blade instead of M.O.D.O.K. It's more points total, but less discards. Less points on Collector. Helicarrier would be interesting. They actually just run. Was that a Hella that got discarded? It was. I wish we could have seen the next card we hit. And this is like the one advantage of snapping early against Hella. Just be ready to like retreat later if you're scared of the combo. But they, yeah. It worked out for us. Irresponsibly caffeinated. All right. Hand looks good, ladies and gents. The hand looks very good. The question is it turn 1 snap good? I think it might be turn 2 snap good because we're not playing anything. We're not really giving them any reason to leave. If we snap now compared to snap later, we get a little bit more information. So I think I'm going to go for a turn 2 snap. They play nothing, which makes us feel pretty good. We probably don't want the Collector being the M.O.D.O.K card because it could get Tool and get Shang-Chi'd. It's a risky snap because Gambit could end up hitting something bad for us here. And if they play nothing, then the Gambit might not even have anything to hit anyway. But the chances are they play something on turn 2 for us to Gambit. And we don't hit the M.O.D.O.K. Well, hopefully we find something else to play here, like a Lockjaw, for example. Alas, we do not. I think we'll buff the Gambit up. Hit the APOC or the Swarm. Oh god, that was the worst hit of all. Hitting Bast with Gambit, also not great. This has all gone a little bit pear-shaped, hasn't it? Rather quickly. Oh my goodness. Supergiant cucks my M.O.D.O.K as well. This is heartbreaking stuff. Kind of interesting that I could do this. I don't even know if this is good. Seems kind of bad. Oh, hello. Hello. Surprise. Of course, we could absolutely supercharge the Morbius, but with no Dracula. Doesn't seem that good. I think we're more interested in going like this. Trying to snipe the Supergiant with Gambit. I mean, it's going to happen, right? Looks good. It looks good. Gambit hits Supergiant every time. Bloop. Iron Man. I hope you have something to go along with that, son. Squirrel Girl. Uh-oh. Patriot? Does it beat us? I don't think so. I think we still get him. Another victory. In the world. Rank 25 in the flipping world. If we have to retreat, we will. If we don't have the curve. That's an interesting start. Blade straight into a Helicarrier. So let's think of the advantages and disadvantages of it. Disadvantage, it probably sucks. We lose out on all our collector points. We fill our hand, so we're not going to draw a card next turn. Advantage, it's funny. And we might get a 2-drop for our curve. But equally, we're more likely to get a 2-drop for our curve with like a Morbius or a Collector. I'm going to be greedy and not go for it. I'm sorry, I know this is supposed to be a content video. But we're up against rank 25 in the world, and I don't think Blade is the optimal line here. Pays off, somewhat. Do we want to draw a card? Not that much, but... They might be able to play 2 cards here this turn. Let's fight for Asgard instead. Okay, Time Stone on 2 is not great, so they might be going like... Khazar on 4? Some kind of 4 cost. It paid off waiting with the Blade, I have to say. The Colleen hits Gambit, which sucks here. Let's not go for that. Admittedly, the Gambit, though, is not very good either. But we could hit Apocalypse. We won't. We'll probably hit... Just don't hit the Hellcow, mate. Just please don't hit the flipping Hellcow, mate. Okay. Well. That's a thing. Low-key. Not sure if that's going to be particularly good for them, I have to say. Yeah, this is the thing with the Helicarrier without Collector down on the board. Without Morbius. Less impressive. We'll take the Hellcow. I think still off to the right. The Morph. Oh my god. They hit Kiera. Okay. Helicarrier value. Giving them a jank card. M.O.D.O.K. Oh, you know what? This is so good here. It's going to be so many points. I think we have to go for it. We maybe match up their middle. And we take the Sif. How many? We've discarded how many cards so far? Not that many. I mean, it could just be... could just be a case of going for the M.O.D.O.K. My concern with M.O.D.O.K. is it's very telegraphed. I go M.O.D.O.K. and then I go big card last turn. You know? Whereas what I can do instead with this play is with the M.O.D.O.K. I can supercharge the Morbius more than they might expect. I'm going to wait and see in terms of what discard cards they have before I do anything I might later regret. Cosmo. Colleen. Curious. A highly curious case. I mean, the obvious play is Apocalypse left, but I think that's bad. The concern is, I mean, they didn't have many turns to draw Shang-Chi. I think we just have to go for the flipping M.O.D.O.K. play, like I kind of planned earlier on. Supercharge the Morbius. It's unlikely that they have access to Shang-Chi because they played Loki a few turns ago. They would have to have top-decked it pretty recently. Let's snap it. Sod it. The Morbius is getting buffed by 8 points. We're at 18. Could lose. It's unlikely against Loki they have enough, right? They need, like, Helicarrier. I guess Helicarrier plus a card could get them there. I'm a little bit concerned here. I would like to have gone M.O.D.O.K. to the left, actually. But that is not an option because of this pesky Cosmo. So I kind of regret the snap a little bit. Because I think, like, Helicarrier costing 5 plus... still a big ask. They need Helicarrier and something else down the middle. We've already seen them play Colleen. Let us see. But also if they could discard the Helicarrier, the Collector could go a bit crazy. They're roping. They play on. That's 4 cards. That's a lot. But only 1 middle, which is probably good news for us. As long as it's not a Shang, which is unlikely that it is, as I explained earlier. It's a Soul Stone. Clench! What was that? What was that? Oh, it was something good. Flip. What was that? What died? My M.O.D.O.K. No, it wasn't my M.O.D.O.K. What was it? Hellcow. Flipping Hellcow. So if they hit Sif, Blade, or Gambit, we won. 1, 2, 3. Alright, we're up against rank 59 in the world. This queue time was very long. And they're called Dr. Stink Fartson. Amazing. Whoa, that's new. I mean, this is snap-worthy, right? Probably. It's probably snap-worthy. The odds are that we hit something very good. This is where we hit Hellcow into discarding Lockjaw. That'll be so sad. And dodging the Helicarrier, so we just have no curve. Hellcow into Apocalypse. Lockjaw would be the worst. Okay, oh my god. There's no way. Fantastic. Well, that's what I said was the worst. It wasn't that bad, I guess. If we find Colleen. Pog? Well, I took a risky snap. I mean, it looked like a pretty good snap, in fairness. I mean, it's hard to argue that it was a bad one. So we could get rid of the Swarm to discard the Apocalypse again. Kind of interested in trying to fill this. I'd rather they don't. So similarly, we could just go Blade. Then next time we go Swarm, Swarm plus whatever we draw. Maybe we just do that. Okay, no M.O.D.O.K, please. I can play everything but M.O.D.O.K. Let's fill. This means we can play the Helicarrier and the Apocalypse from hand, if we so desire. Sure. They can get initiative by moving Jeff, and they could try and Eliath us, I guess, is probably their line. Weird one, though. I mean, Armor Eliath doesn't sound like a good combo. Supergiant just makes me think of Eliath, to be honest. Interesting to see the decks that people are playing at such a high rank, though. It's the first time I've been this high of a rank. I basically started taking my break around the time that the leaderboard came into the mixer. So I climbed from like rank 50,000 to rank 2,000 or 3,000 last season. And I imagine as more people get Infinite, I will fall down slightly. But I did actually go try hard mode with the Series 3 decks. They didn't move Jeff, so they didn't get Initiative, which is interesting. I was anticipating that they would play for Initiative here. The M.O.D.O.K seems like the obvious play. The concern is that M.O.D.O.K has to kind of go off into Rickety Bridge. But oh, wait, we can play both? Brother, we can play both? Oh my god. This is insane. The white hot room. So the Gambit discards the Helicarrier. The M.O.D.O.K discards everything else. Imagine we find Wolverine, bruv. Wolverine! Hit the Jeff, just for good measure. There's no way, right? Wolverine? Where's the Wolverine, guys? What the hell? Oh, we did hit the Jeff! Are you serious? Look at the Morbius go, mate! That's ridiculous. Quake? Oh my god. That didn't quite work out. It's a nice idea, but clearly Dr. Stink farts and realizes Supergiant is working in a similar way to Invisible Woman, where the game has already ended, meaning that Rickety Bridge goes first, because the turn ends and then Supergiant comes through. Cool idea from our opponent, though. Strange Orange Chick. Oh, it's a hand. We've got Curve. Usually you're going to prioritize playing Collector over Morbius, because Collector needs cards on the board to get its value, whereas Morbius is always just getting value. And like an example of this is if Camp Lehigh showed up last, then our Collector would get +1. Whereas the Morbius is getting points because it's ongoing whenever, but Collector actually needs to be on the board. Let's go off to the right with Collector. Chances are it's like a Sanctumorium or something. On average, it works out better to play into unrevealed locations in Marvel Snap. This is where we see Space Throne. Oh, the Morbius, no! So sad. That's really sad. I'll take a Gambit, I suppose. Storm. Okay. Hitting Swarm would be just amazing right now. Beautiful. I think that might actually be snap worthy, especially if we get the Zabu. The Storm. Yeah. Let's just try and secure the left, innit? It's tempting to keep one Swarm in hand. For the Collector, for example. For Colleen next turn. It's only 3 points extra to the left. I mean, is it possible we don't even want a Lockjaw? Is there anything else we could consider going for? I can't ever play 2 cards. I think we just go for this and probably keep one in hand. In case we hit like M.O.D.O.K and stuff, we still have stuff to play. They don't even contest the left. We might be getting Quake shaked, perhaps. There's the M.O.D.O.K. So keeping the Swarm gets us more collector value and more points elsewhere. It is a Quake Shake play. Probably fine. Certainly not great. It's Blade, Hellcow, Helicarrier in the deck, and also the Swarm that we put in there earlier on. Gambit, of course, already through, so we can't get any more points down the middle here. They could try to Professor X us, but Collector can still continue to grow. They can't Legion the flooded lane, because it's already flooded. So they might go for the Professor X here. The Hellcow is probably the best find possible there. Oh, the deck is popping the heck off, mate. Vision. Now, I'm a little bit scared of getting Shang-Chi'd, to be honest. We could play around Shang-Chi by doing this. It's a little ridiculous. But, I mean, they're never beating us to the left, right? So, it's only Shang-Chi. They only stay if they have Shang-Chi. They know our hand. So, they only stay if they have Shang-Chi. So, the logic is that we should play around Shang-Chi. They should just leave otherwise if they don't have Shang. Unless they like Omega Big Brain it and say, oh my god, they're gonna... And I'm not even streaming now. Usually I would be scared of getting stream sniped with a play like this. But the logic is they only... Wait, I was going second. I'm so bad at the game. They did have Shang-Chi, but I was going flipping second. What am I doing, chat? Oh, I'm so bad. That's so embarrassing. I was going second, guys. I'm so bad. I'm ranked this high up in the world. I just blame the long recording session, okay? Aye. That's just me being an idiot. I was trying to be big brain and ended up very, very small brain. It happens. I'm not removing it from the video. I've been playing Snap for like 10 hours today. Alright, I need some redemption after that absolute stinker. It should have been a 4-cube victory, and yet I threw. I can't believe that they stayed in there when they didn't even have the Shang onto my Apocalypse that I was expecting. Like, how did they ever think they were winning that? The only way they ever won that was if I massively threw. They knew I had Apocalypse in hand. And I threw. We actually got really unlucky, the fact that they even stayed in it. Kind of salty. Okay, this looks like a game I could consider retreating. Altar of Death. The good news is I have the Morbius in there. That is something. I mean, I can see why they would snap it. But I do have a Morbius in there. I could be greedy and stage. You know what? Let's see. For the video, for the content, we'll see. I'm thinking like Gambit could get a really big snipe on the last turn. I guess the concern is that I might be forced to play it a little bit sooner with this hand. We could really do with Apocalypse. Hello. Suppose we'll take the Hellcow and dodge discarding the Gambit. Yeah, we're really just we're really banking on Gambit. Stick around. Oh god. Okay, well I think that's GG. I think we can go next. Yeah. I think so. Stinker. It's all gone a bit pear-shaped towards the end of the video here. Chasing clips. I should have retreated much, much sooner here. I mean, in fairness, we did win the right. That is something. That's a lot of rocks. We did win the right, but alas, we did not win another lane. I mean... If the M.O.D.O.K... In fairness, we probably had a pretty good chance if the Gambit didn't get discarded, right? The Collector could have grown a bit. Dr. Stink Fartson, who we played a few games ago. Central Park. Bad for Gambit. They have like Omega Red, Quake. Collector with Helicarrier. I think we've got to snap it. We've got the Collector, we've got the Helicarrier. Okay, it's not guaranteed we can discard Helicarrier anytime soon. We want to discard it before the M.O.D.O.K, to be completely honest. and we want to find Morbius. Like, that combo is filthy. So the Gambit doesn't look that appealing. We'd love something like a Colleen here. Or a Morbius. Morbius would be the best draw. Lockjaw would be okay. It's not bad. We probably just want to take the blade at this moment in time, I would wager. We get rid of... Yeah, we still have space in our hand for more cards. Oh, Apocalypse. Colleen's not... Oh my god. Colleen's nice. Collector's going crazy. Are we drawing a card here, or have we filled our hand? I think we're still drawing a card. Yep. Nice. We could try to roll the Gambit here too. Sif hits the Helicarrier. So the Sif hits the Helicarrier, which means we could empty our hand of swarms now. And Sif. We want the Morbius then, off the top basically. Okay. I think that's fine. Oh, we're not going to find anything off the top, of course. Well, we could find something off the top on the last turn. It's a little bit of a risk. No, we mod it. Oh, wait, this is actually... The Supergiant's actually really good for us. Supergiant's perfect. Meek says... If you discarded any cards, gain 1 power and move. So that's not something we're interested in. Yeah, I don't actually own Meek. You could play Meek in this deck if you wanted to. I don't think it would make the cut, honestly. We find Lockjaw. Are we interested in playing Lockjaw? I'm leaning towards not really. I think we might just take Jane Foster, truth be told. I mean, we look very comfortable. The lack of Morbius is a little bit of a heartbreaker. Interestingly, we could go Lockjaw 1 in 3 to hit Morbius, because there's going to be so many flipping points. We can't quite go Dark Hawk plus Rockslide. Jane Foster Meek is probably fine in terms of raw stats. The question is, are we even winning this lane? And I think the answer is probably not. So we might just be best off playing the Jane here and then the Meek here. It's a very interesting decision. We could also go for like Spider-Man to try and move one of these two out. It's probably not that good. My mind's telling me this is the line. To find the Morbius. Flip it. Why not? It's funny. It's a funny line, alright? Come on, hit one of the cards to the right. Oh, get in, Gambit. We're dodging the armor. Oh my god, it's the last card in the deck, chat. There's no chat because I'm live only for YouTube, but this is ridiculous. Look at this. Look at this. What a way to end the video. Hello. 20 for 2. And they have a Ronan. And they have a flipping Ronan. Oh my god. This deck is so much fun, guys. If you enjoyed the video and watched this far, please give it a like. I hope you enjoy this style of video where I just kind of go for it all in one take. There's like, I'm going to edit the games together, of course, but I want to show every game. Let's take a quick look at the win rate, the final win rate. So there it is, Lockjaw Discarder, 60% win rate over 15 games, right at the top of Infinite rank. 11 cubes positive. Let's not forget, we also lost a 50-50 for, what, 4 cubes? Pretty flipping impressive stats. I'm sure there was also a misplay or two along the way. Yeah, I completely threw one game, in fact. So I completely threw one game, which would have been a 4-cuber, so we would have netted 19 cubes off the complete throw. And we would have been 10 and 6, 10 and 5 rather, which is what, 66% win rate. And there was also a 50-50 in there. So actually, the deck performed even better than these very impressive stats right at the top of Infinite rank. So I think it's easy to underestimate. Like, we're playing against the best of the best, the people playing the best decks in the game, and yet